Hello students, let's do this problem. And it says solve, and of course it means solve for x, right? So basically I need to find the value for x, okay? So let's look at the equation that is given to us, and you will notice that it has variables on both sides. So before I can do anything, I will need to make sure that the variables are moved to one side only. And again, you can have them on the left, you can have them on the right, it's up to you, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna get rid of that negative half x, okay? And if it's negative half x, the opposite of a negative number, it's positive. So I'm going to add half x on both sides. But before I write the half x on the left, I notice that there's a 2.1x, which is a decimal. So instead of writing the fraction, I would change that to a decimal. So I know that 1/2 is the same as 0.5. So I'm going to write down that decimal. And remember, whatever you do on one side, you do it to the other one. I know for some of you might be like, oh, miss, why do you have a half on one side and a 0.5 on the other one? It's exactly the same. I'm just trying to help you understand that there's an equivalent fraction decimal, and we can utilize both of them at the same time, whatever is convenient for us, right? So please be with me. So what happens to the half x's over here on the right? It cancels, right? On the left, I do see a 1/5 plus 2.1 plus a 0.5, it's 2.6. X equals 2.8. Okay, so I do see that x, it's now on the left only. There's no more x's, right? But on the left. So what I need to do next, I need to get rid of my constant, which is 1/5. Okay, 1/5 is positive. So the opposite of a positive 1/5 is negative 1/5, right? So I'm going to say minus 1/5. And I'm going to say minus, again, I am not going to write the fraction because I see a decimal. So I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to say 1/5 is the same as 0.2. So I'm going to write down the equivalent of 1/5, which is 0.2. Okay? So it looks different, but I'm subtracting the same quantity on both sides. Okay? So what happened to my 1/5 and 1/5 cancels out, and I ended up with 2.6x equals 2.8 minus 0.2 is 2.6. Okay, so x, it's almost by itself. Now it only has the coefficient 2.6. Okay, so since I want to get rid of the 2.6, 2.6 is multiplying the x. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Then I am going to divide by 2.6 on both sides. Okay, so my 2.6 divided by 2.6 gives me a 1, right? But we all know that 1x is the same as x by itself. Okay, so I am going to write down only x, and 2.6 divided by 2.6 is 1. So my value for x is 1. Okay, so these numbers that I wrote here, they're very important for us because these are the equivalency that we are using for my problem. Okay, so make sure that you guys don't erase it, write it down and leave it there. You might need it later. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to check whether my answer is correct or not. And how do I do that? Well, I am going to replace x with a 1 on my equation. So I got my equation right there. It's exactly like my original problem, okay? So I'm going to write down 1/5 again, plus 2.1 and then parentheses. And then I write the rest. Notice how the parentheses, I'm leaving them like that because I am going to replace the value for x as a 1. So I'm going to write down a 1 in there. Okay, so what I did is I removed the x and I wrote down the value that I found for x. Okay, so let's continue. So 1/5, I have it up there, that is equals to 0.2. So I'm going to replace it. I'm going to substitute by my decimal. And 2.1 times 1 gives me a 2.1. On the right, I have 2.8 minus half. Okay, so I am going to multiply half times 1, and half times 1 is half. And we know, because I have it on the blue section, that half is equals to 0.5. So I am just going to write down minus 0.5. Okay, so I'm going to work out the left, which is 0.2 plus 2.1, and I do get a 2.3. And if I subtract 2.8 minus 0.5, I get a 2.3. And what do I see? I got the same answer on both sides. Therefore, x equals to a 1. It is my answer, and it is correct. Okay?